Okay, this thing's really giving it to me. I'm trying to work on the hatch here, and as you can see, where is it? There it is, on the workshop table, trying to sand it down, and using razor blades, using everything. Next, we're going to use some acetone to get some of this goop off of it from the previous installations, and then we're going to sand her up and clean her up and paint it up, and then reinstall it. So this is what we're looking at. You know, we're trying to get all this smoothed down, get all the residue off of it, all the old sticky stuff, silicone, whatever else they had, 4200, 5200, you name it, was on there. Trying to get that off, and then we're gonna repaint this thing. We're gonna with a barrier coat primer, and then we're gonna put some Rust-Oleum on top. So hopefully that works. Okay, still in prep mode on this hatch. Ran into a little bit of a problem. We undid these arms in order to make it easier to paint, and ran into a bit of a problem, which was one of the bolts snapped off in here. I don't know if you can see that. We had to re-thread it with a sleeve. So with the help of my sensei, who actually is the one who snapped it, we were able to hacksaw off the bolt and drill it out and put in a spacer. So we have to get a smaller bolt now for this side, but pretty close to getting ready to paint this thing. I'm gonna clean it with some acetone, being careful not to get it on the glass and the Lexan, but it should look a lot better when it's all cleaned up. Okay, first coat of paint is on the hatch. I let it cure overnight and then came back the next morning, and I found a sticky spot on the edge, and I realized I must have missed a part where there was some gummy residue from either caulking or duct tape where we tried to stop the leak. So I had to scrape that part off and re-prime it, and I'll get back this afternoon and put a second coat on everything and a first coat on that new section that I had to redo. And hopefully this thing will be ready to go back on the boat in a couple days. Okay, second coat on. Hopefully there'll be no drips. Might need a third coat, but it's looking pretty sharp. I'm pretty happy with it. Can't wait to get it back on the boat. All right, so today we're up on the boat working on some big projects. We are leading the radar power and Ethernet from the stern to the mast base, where we're going to set the radar up on the mast instead of a pedestal off the stern. So this is the Ethernet cable that we've got to run from, oh hey, Jacques Cartier from Canada. He's one of the boat owners, and he's here today helping. It's a huge day. And as you know, Jacques Cartier, a famous explorer extraordinaire, and here he is on the boat. He even spoke a little French. That's fantastic. So we are hard at work on the boat, and we got to lead the power from this mess to the base of the mast, and we're going to do that with some trickery and some cool tools like this thing right here. All right, Jacques Cartier at work here, feeding it through. Hopefully, we've had to take a lot of things apart, as you can see. With any luck, the snake will come out this end.
Should be there any minute.
Yes! Victory is ours, Ken.
Uh-oh.
Well, at least we got I don't want to be premature about that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good.
All
Next one.
Jacques Cartier likes to print labels for everything. So if you don't have one of these, this is a tremendous little doohickey you can get at Staples, and it prints nice little labels so you can label everything. So in a crisis moment, you know what you're doing. All right, so we've got the hatch recently painted in place on the foredeck, and now we just need to go through the process of cleaning the area before we seat it with butyl tape and the screws. So it's gonna be a bit of a project to clean it up, but I think it's gonna be worth the wait, and it's gonna look fantastic when it's done, and hopefully it will not leak. All right, here's the hatch. It is in place, and the reason we didn't film while we were doing this is because it was definitely all hands on. but we mistakenly first put the butyl tape, this stuff, we mistakenly put it down on the deck first, and that was a big mistake because it was impossible to line up. So we started over and we took the hatch off, flipped the hatch over, put the butyl tape around on the hatch itself. That way we could poke a screw through in the two corners here. So when we set it down, we knew we had it straight and plumb with the rest of the holes. And then we took little pieces of this butyl tape stuff and we rolled out these thin pieces and wrapped them just under the head of the screw. And so when we seated the screws down, you can see a little butyl tape squeezing out around that. And we learned that we really had to torque down hard to get it to seat properly. But all in all, really slick. And I don't even know if there's room to even put a bead of caulk on the outside. I might, but we'll see. We're gonna shower test it next weekend. Yeah, so we'll bring a hose up next weekend and before we uncover it and give it the shower test and see how it performs. But it was nice. It was nice working with this stuff, and I wish I had done our windows with it because we had some issues with the caulking. It's just so freaking messy, as you all know. But in any event, hopefully we'll water test this next weekend, and hopefully it's watertight. And really pleased with how it all turned out. So one more project done, and we did finish the wiring schematic for the radar. So now we just have to get it fed through the mast and put the bracket on the mast, which will not be easy. These are the new port windows from the outside, and we definitely had some issues installing these. It's actually some rain dripping through the seam, the zipper seam, onto the new window, but definitely had some issues installing these. The factory ones had a routed groove in here to contain caulking, and when we did it, we didn't fare so well, and I think we'll probably redo it next year, but you can see some imperfections with it. We didn't get enough caulking and it didn't spread, so it's sort of a trial and error situation. But as they say in boating, from 20 feet it'll look fine. So this is what the new windows look like from down below, and I understand you don't have the perspective of what they looked like before, but I can assure you, you couldn't even see out of them. They were so crazed and glazed and cracked and whatnot. So this is a huge improvement to our light situation this summer. Regardless of what they look like from the outside, they look great from the inside. Literally pouring rain outside, but I'm up in the V-berth of the Morgan 382, and I have commandeered from my sensei this awesome EcoFlow battery pack that he just got, and because we don't have power down at the boat, and I've brought it down on this rainy day to hook up, unbeknownst to her, my wife's steamer. It's called a Puerta Gulf, and she uses it for everything, steaming the kitchen counters and cleaning up messes in the house. And I thought it'd be great to use up in the V-berth on the boat, because I don't know if you can see this, but there's a line right here from where the previous owners had a piece of plywood up in the V-berth to make it one big double bed, and we put it back to its original configuration, which is 1/1. You've got an upper berth on the starboard side and then a lower one where your feet go under on the port side, and this is all going to be painted and redone after I clean this. But I'm going to try this steamer on this discoloration to see if I can bring it back to the more brilliant white, which is up here, versus the dingy white down here. So it'll be a test to see if it works, but it'd be fantastic if it does. Yeah, and it should be noted that I'm not being paid for this placement. This is not a paid sponsorship. Just having fun with some tools around the house and making our boat a cleaner, brighter, happier place. So I don't want my wife to actually know this, but it seems to really be working. And the reason I don't want her to know it is because she'll start steaming more things throughout the house. But I'm going to keep working away at this because you can see it's pretty filthy, and I think it's going to look pretty darn nice when it's done. But this is working. It's pretty incredible. I can't really do both and show you, but I'm going to try to set this up so you can see it. There we go. So you probably can't, but it's getting the dirt right out of there and bringing back the white. I just need to scrub it. Probably an easier way to do this, but I like what it's doing, and it feels like it's really cleaning it too. Yeah, that is absolutely making a difference. I don't know how far down this will show, but let's put it down here for a second. See if you can get a close up of this. Getting the dirt out of those. It's like a waffle pattern, so the only way to do it is to really blow some steam in there and then scrub it out with a scrub brush. It's actually very cathartic. Again, when my wife sees this, she's just going to start steaming stuff all over the house because it does do a pretty incredible job, I have to say. All right, we'll keep working on it. We're getting there. Hey, look, if anyone has any basic yoga moves for a very inflexible man, I would appreciate it, because getting up in these nooks and crannies in the boat is not easy for someone my age, which is old, 53, not that old, but anyway, some basic, simple yoga moves to help me be more flexible. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, well, I think it might require another round at some point, and I do need to get up under there, but I'm out of water and out of steam, and literally I'm out of steam. So it's looking better. This is what it should look like, basically, nice and clean. And this is definitely an improvement of what was there. And I think with a little more elbow grease and maybe a splash of bleach, we might be able to get the rest of it out. If anybody has any great ideas, would love to hear them. I forgot to do a before and after, but basically this port was surrounded by some sort of hardcore caulking that basically was black and blackened and looked like crap around. Well, this one still has some of it on there. So I'm working on getting this stuff off and we'll clean it up, because what came off of these ports were these plastic visors that went like this, and we are replacing them. Again, I'm not paid for any of this, maybe someday, but we're replacing them with this is still in plastic, these clear versions that will go over, and therefore keep the rain out when your ports are open if you're caught unaware in a storm or overnight in a rainstorm. It'll keep the rain out, but also during the day we'll keep the light in. So kind of excited to see how those go on. They just use adhesive now, like a 3M tape. So I'll be interested to see if that works once this is all cleaned up. So in any event, yeah, so we're going to work on those two, actually these three, and then we'll check the port side. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, this black stuff, and it's hard as a rock. So I'm back to using this trusty tool to do some demo work to get that stuff off, because it's hideous. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's hardcore stuff. Now, I just knocked a bunch of it off, but I probably unwittingly just introduced 1,000 more leaks to the boat. But I think with the port visor on, we should be at least pretty well off. I have to say, I probably imagine this is probably what my dentist sees when he looks at my teeth with all that plaque buildup. And I am actually taking off some of the plastic because I think UV rays over time have just made it soft. It looks like maybe they've been painted at some point, which maybe I should probably do, but maybe not this season. Okay, that's about all I can get with the tools I have, so I might try a little lacquer thinner to get some of the gummy stuff off, but there's the mess left behind, so you get a sense of before and after. And I gotta put some screws back in and clean it up, maybe paint it, and off we go. All right, I gotta stop working on these before my brain is scrambled eggs. I've been using Painter's lacquer thinner to, again, I'm not sponsored, to clean up the residue around these so the adhesive on the Newport visor sticks well, and it's been cleaning up all the gummy stuff. And this is the one, whoops, this is the one that I was working on earlier, where it still had all that black stuff around it, and it turned out really, really great. So we're getting there. It's funny, port side's almost in perfect condition, so I can go ahead and clean those up, and I guess I got to fill the old screw holes because we don't want any water intrusion there. But and then get the visors on and see how they look. It's going to be a different look, and I don't know if I'll love it, but I think I'll like it. This is just a random shot of our nice wide decks. You got your nice high bulwarks over here, chain plate, coach roof, and just when the shrouds are in place here, it leaves so much room between them and the bulwarks and the lifelines that it's just makes it really easy to walk around, which is one of the things we really do love about this boat. All right, so that's a wrap for today. It smells like Painter's lacquer thinner up here, and my brain is like scrambled, and it's dumping rain. I got the V-berth steamed. It needs another pass. I got the ports all cleaned and prepped for the port visors, though I need to add some screws and probably some caulking in some certain areas, but by and large, prepped and ready to go. So some of you might be wondering why I bought a boat with two friends, and if you didn't watch our intro episode, the quick explanation is this. I've been friends with the captain from Vermont since we were 8, and been friends with Jacques Cartier since 2000, really, so 23 years. And life has a funny way of pushing people apart and pushing friends and families apart. The captain had to move to Vermont. Jacques lives down the street, but you know, we're busy with our lives and families and various things, and aging parents, and we have things to attend to. And you really got to work hard to maintain friendships, and at least work hard at getting together from time to time to spend quality time together. So while our spouses do love to sail, they're not complete boat morons and fools like us. And we decided that buying a boat together would bring us together as a common cause and a common activity that we can share not only with our families, but especially with each other, the three guys, taking some adventures along the coast of Maine. So it really was an effort to keep our friendship bond strong and keep us getting together from time to time in a common activity and have a blast together. So we're really looking forward to having all of us together, which will be in 2 weeks. We'll have all three of us here working on the boat. And while it might seem that I've been doing most of it, the boat is in my backyard and I love doing it. And the other two will be pulling their weight and have been pulling their weight, and I'll exact my pound of flesh from them in 2 weeks when they're all in town and we're all working on the boat together. But by and large, it's working great, and this will be our second season, and really excited to bring you all on some adventures along the coast of Maine, to show you some places you've never seen, we've never seen, and that are just extraordinary, and take you on some races with us as we get our butts handed to us on this old boat. But we're gonna have a blast, and hopefully you'll get to see the sort of camaraderie that the three of us have together, and it might make sense as to why we bought this boat together. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.